Hey, everybody. Welcome to Raw Online Report. Very, very special guest today. She has been runner-up at the Ms. Olympia twice, and she just beat the reigning four-time Ms. Olympia, Andrea Shaw, at the Wings of Strength Rising Phoenix show. Please welcome Angela Yeo. How are you, Angela?
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on. This is going to be a hell of a victory lap.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's take a look at this. This is the last weekend in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Amazing Wings of Strength show. I believe, we already got the fourth and third place sorted out, and now we're waiting for the results, the call for the winner. We have the audio turned off, so we're gonna have to watch your reaction to see what actually happens here. Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh!
You've been runner-up. You've been runner-up to Andrea a couple times already.
And 3 times.
3 times. Oh, was it?
3 times.
So
it was Olympia 20. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Who was the MC at this show? Was it
the
Bob?
Anticipation. No, we had a female MC. So all female judging panel, female MCs. Dude, you're making me relive this moment. Oh my God. That was so real. That was so raw. I felt like I had just squatted like 500 pounds. Like that was a PR moment. That was just, like you think you might act a certain way, or you might, you don't really know. I had no idea how to react to that. So I just, I'm just myself. I was just myself in that moment. I was like, I don't care. Like this is an exceptional moment in my life. It's the biggest win of my career.
So far.
Yes, just enjoy the moment. So I did.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the joy, the excitement. I mean, that was about as real as it gets right there.
Yeah, and the girls, oh my gosh, the competitors. I mean, those ladies that I compete with are of the highest caliber. I mean, backstage, like people wish they could compete with others that are that strong in their work ethic and in the way that they treat others. And I'm extremely lucky. Women's bodybuilding division is like very classy, very competitive, strong. Of course, we got the muscle, but it's the people and who we are backstage, like in those moments where we truly support each other, that I just can't even thank them enough for just being them as well.
Yeah, and here's some shots from this. Is this confirmation round we're looking at right here? Can you tell?
Oh gosh, I mean, it could have been that. I mean, it's definitely night show, so
okay,
we're looking at the very last looks before.
Yeah, and
and I know the judges were, really drinking in every moment of this competition, because what they decide is obviously very meaningful, not just for me or for Andrea, but for the entire division.
Right.
So huge.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to look at the scorecard? Was it a perfect score? Did she get any first place votes?
Actually, I only won by 1 point.
Oh wow.
I almost never look at the scorecards, because if I brought everything that I could bring, then I couldn't have done any better. But it was 1 point. My husband usually likes to take a look at the scorecards and kind of, because he knows that I probably won't, but he's like, we need to know. So 1 point was the decision. So it was not unanimous.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously she's 4-time Olympia champ 4 years in a row for a reason. So, but I'll tell you, a lot of us felt she was sort of unbeatable. Like, she just needs to show up and nobody's touching her. But, you just showed when somebody outworks you and comes in with the superior condition, which you had, that's where I felt you had her all day here, was condition. You got it. And it was very much a well-deserved win. And you just made the upcoming Ms. Olympia so much more exciting. Not that it's not exciting anyway, of course it is, but when you have a champ coming in who's now there's a little chink in her armor, says, this Angela Yeo you've been breathing down her neck for a couple of years now, but
yes,
now you just beat her. You're coming in as somebody who just beat her. Yikes, it's going to be scary.
I'm really hoping that Like if you were on the fence about buying a ticket to the Olympia, buy the ticket. Take the ride with us because not only is the Olympia and everything surrounding the Olympia unlike any show you will ever go to, and so worth the trip and the money. You know, this is like you said, what we're bringing is going to be it's just incredibly exciting, and you're gonna want to be around that energy. Like if you, no matter what sport you do, but especially as a bodybuilder, you want to be around this competitive, high level, intense energy, and just soak it up and take it back with you wherever you're coming from.
Yeah. So we're looking at last year's Olympia, which was only your second
Yeah.
Olympia. You know,
Only my second Olympia. Oh.
so what I read somewhere that when you won the Chicago Pro in 2022, that was your rookie season 2022, right?
Yeah.
For bodybuilding.
Pro debut, Chicago Pro.
So what you did in the
That
Olympia
yeah.
that year was only done once before as far as I know, the last time a woman got runner-up in her first appearance at the Ms. Olympia was over 30 years ago when Denise Rakowski did it at the 92 Olympia. So you were the best rookie to come along in women's pro bodybuilding in over 30 years at that point. I believe that's
See,
correct.
those are the facts that I absolutely love to hear because I don't know everything about the history and I'm still learning, right? But I knew it was historical. I knew that this was just an insane level of accomplishment, and I never took that for granted. But to be, to just come to the Olympia, just come to women's bodybuilding so ready and placed so high. I mean, the stakes could not have been higher,
Yeah.
and to be right behind Andrea, 2 years back to back, and for us to only be like maybe what an hour apart
That's right.
in the country. Like usually you're like other countries apart, but we're both from the Midwest, so we, are representing our area of the country and the world really hard. And I love that too.
Ohio, I don't think yeah, because Corey was from Wisconsin. I think almost every Ms. Olympia has been from the Midwest USA. You think about it.
That's awesome.
Wasn't Rachel McClish from
That's
Ohio? Is that where she was from?
a good question.
Not sure, but I could tell you that Linda Murray was Michigan, and she had 8 wins. Iris Kyle, also from Michigan, 10 wins. And Andrea, also from Michigan. What is it about the Midwest? I mean, we don't get that many great male bodybuilders out of the Midwest, but
Yeah, well, the ladies are a little different here, I suppose. No, this is I mean, Andrea is so beautiful, so well built, so unbelievably well proportioned, and 4 years is just so dominant, and that is I have so much respect for her, and the way that she has treated the division and who she is and how well she represents women's bodybuilding is so admirable, and I still have a lot to learn from her, how she has done all of this, because that's something that I take very seriously, is like who are the people that are at the top, and what do they do, how do they treat their fans, how do they treat the sport, when we're not even near a competition, and it's an entire new life.
yeah.
So I'm just, yeah, 4 years.
All right, let's. I want to take a look. This is your website. Is it up on screen now?
It sure is.
Proyo.com, guys. Check it out. And got some great artwork there. But here's very comprehensive history here. And I was shocked. I had no idea you'd been doing this at a high level for so long and how far you've come. So go to the bottom. It goes back. This is 11 years ago, where I don't even know, was this the very beginning for you, 2013, as a figure competitor?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I was so green that I think I actually wore a bikini to my first figure show. And I mean, I maybe had a couple of lessons with the promoter of the local show. It was the Toledo Glass Scepter, and I did everything out of the back room of my house. I did my own diet. I did my own training. I wasn't at a gym. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have any friends that did what I was doing. I mean, and I was barely on the internet at the time. So I mean, like everything I did the first like 6 years of my training from home, from the back room of my house,
Wow.
and I won my first show. I mean, I came home with 5 trophies my first show, and I was like, okay, all I was trying to do was try.
Hmm.
And I went to my second show, which was basically a nationals,
Yeah. Well,
and I won that show, which won me my entry into the natural Olympia in my first year. So like, let's take a second to look at that. Chicago won me my way to the natural Olympia, and I doubled it again in the IFBB. I won in Chicago,
hmm.
went to the Olympia in my very first year twice.
Yeah, that's one of those eerie
And then I
coincidences.
silver medaled both times. So my first try at the natural Olympia brought home 2 silver medals.
Yeah.
My first try at the IFBB Olympia, silver medal.
Just
You can't
curious
make this up.
before we move on, what did you weigh in your first year competing versus how much, what do you weigh now? Because you clearly have a lot more muscle mass now than you did 11 years ago.
Let's see. I stopped weighing myself around 156 because
Okay.
I just don't like to see the scale drop. So that's pretty much where I seem to be hovering now. Originally, gosh, I think I was like 107,
Okay.
and then
Fair.
I know 117 was one of my 107 to 117, maybe even like 102. I mean, oh, like weights I will never see again in my career. And the goal was always size.
You know, how,
I may have started in figure, but size was always what I loved most.
so, because I remember, I've interviewed Andrea a couple times and she started off in figure as well. You guys actually had the same progression from divisions. You both went figure, physique, bodybuilding, just like that. But she was someone who struggled, really struggled to keep her weight down and keep from putting on muscle mass. You were the opposite. You were actually actively trying to put on size and muscle.
I mean, I still am.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, man, if I could really be consistent with getting, I mean, like 5,500 calories in. I mean, it's going to be a real struggle for me. I don't know how some of these girls can do it, but it's just different. We're just different bodies, different metabolisms, different capacity for consumption of nutrition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm still going to be. I just got to 170 pounds this past year, and
Wow.
I just broke into the 160s the year before. So I'm like, holy crap, I'm on a roll, right?
Yeah.
Like 180 could be possible, because I just want so much to hang on to all of that size and bring that to the stage. That's what I want to see. It's not even about the competition. It's like, this is what I've always wanted to look like.
Yeah.
So
And is it
yeah.
when you're in prep? Is it hard for you to maintain the muscle mass or not?
I mean, I feel like I've done pretty good. The increase in calories in the off season has done me so much good.
Mhm.
One thing that it took me a while to actually realize this, but I did an entire third less cardio this year than I did last year, and it really worked for me. So we beat my body up an entire third less, even if it would just be like a walk in the evening. That's still another round in the day, to have to take care of or not miss. So it really seemed to work. So as long as my calories stay high, I
Yeah.
do pretty good, and I don't have to cut hard. I mean, it's hard in proportion, right? So low is relative, but my calories generally stay pretty high. I might
Sure.
still suffer, but it's high in comparison, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah. I thought we were on the results screen there, which showing the different competitions. Let's see if it works now because this is such a wide range. Let me see it now. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. So, I mean, you were a figure competitor, then you got into powerlifting. How did that happen?
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, I want to be as strong as I look. Like I remember someone saying the phrase show muscles,
Yeah.
and I just cringed, and I was like, oh no, oh no. I've been, like a lot of my life, I've either worked outside or done manual labor. Like I'm pretty strong,
Hmm.
and I feel like the muscle should be you know, like we should be able to put this to work and also have fun with that. Plus, I mean, the powerlifting is just so much fun. Like strength and size is a deadly combination within competition. Yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to be as strong as I looked, but I had also just so I started competing in 13, right?
Yeah.
Did great right off the bat. 14, placed the lowest I ever have, which was like fourth at Natural Olympia. I did like 4 competitions, switched to physique in 2015, came back, won, you know, like won 2 world championships back to back.
Hmm.
So 2015 was a huge year for me. I flew from Florida to Vegas 2 weeks apart, two completely different federations, won them both in physique. And I was like, okay, it's a good time to take a break.
Hmm.
So took the next year off, started powerlifting in 16, got into the NPC in 17, 18,
Yeah.
and just, you know, I am a dual sport athlete. I love both. I love both so much. I'm definitely a conjugate bodybuilder.
Hmm.
So some West Side, lots of West Side.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to ask because you're in Ohio and West Side Barbell is, world famous. It has been for decades. Did you train there? Did you guys, because I don't know how you become a power lifter. All I really know is bodybuilding. Did you have a mentor? Did you have someone really showing you how to do it? Because it's a lot of technique. It's not something you can just sort of say, I'm going to be a power lifter and start competing.
Mm, yeah. Well, um, there was Chad French who runs Impact Fitness, was kind of in my orbit. He and my husband had worked together, and that's where I got my very first strength programming from.
Okay.
But I also was, you know, like he was kind of too far away for me to train with every day, so I did a lot of it by myself. And of course, I'm studying, and I got West Side certified, which there are not a whole lot of women that are West Side certified.
Hmm.
But I wanted to be able to answer my own questions and know what this massive community, yeah, like you said, world renowned community of West Side, and what Louis Simmons taught.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I did a lot of it by myself, but after my after my 2018 Arnold Classic third place win, I had found a gym that had just kind of started in my city, and that was Main Street Barbell. And I am still there to this day. If not for that team, I don't know how I would look today because I literally spent the first 12 years of my career alone.
Hmm.
Like no training partners, no coach, no nothing,
Wow.
right? So doing, I mean, like I had my coach, but I mean she was online, but
Yeah.
but nobody in person. So I mean, and I was really hungry for it at the time, and there was no way that I was going to be able to learn what I needed to learn and load that kind of weight on myself without a team. And I mean, everybody I talked to was like, no, you need to go there. And they are the strongest people in the city. I mean, you'll see 1,000 pounds get deadlifted, squatted on a regular basis. So, and they've really become family to me. I don't think I could do this without them. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, I've from the powerlifters I've known, it just seems like they have a little more sense of family, community, camaraderie, just because you're trusting someone, you're spotting them with, weights that could literally kill them. And sometimes it's a safety factor. You have to really have faith in these people and trust these people to be good spotters, or else God knows what could happen. Everyone's going to want to
Yeah.
know this, so I'm going to ask your three best. Doesn't have to be your total. What's your best bench press in competition, best squat, and best deadlift?
Oh gosh. I mean, I haven't competed in a minute since this whole bodybuilding thing's been going pretty well.
Yeah.
But gym lift, 453 squat, 300 bench, and deadlift is kind of taking a back seat, but I can do 405 for 5. So I have not really truly maxed out my deadlift in a while. But in competition, my best bench is 248. I just think that my coach would like shoot me if I got on the platform right now.
Yeah.
But I know it's in the mail. I know it's in the mail because my strength has come so far. And you know, every weekend I'm with my team. And when you're training conjugate, you max out once a week in different variations of squat, bench, and deadlift. So that's what I do every weekend. with my team without fail. I get up at 4:40 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday for the last 6 years. So no weekends, no nothing. It's very hard sometimes, but it's so worth it because I get the highest quality help I can get my hands on, and these guys are just so funny. Like you really have to hold your own in a gym like that, and I'm glad to. I can't wait to see them this weekend because I'm bringing this back for them as well. They are so competitive, and to bring this back for my team and make us stronger is one of the best feelings.
So I think most people who compete in bodybuilding or any physique sports wouldn't see much benefit to powerlifting because it's totally different style of training. And oh, why are you bothering to max out? We're doing 8, 12, 20 reps to try to do a whole different. We have different goals for what we're trying to accomplish. What would you say to those people? Do you think that all bodybuilders could benefit from having some powerlifting in their program, at least at some parts of the year?
Oh, 100%. I mean, a true bodybuilder is going to use 1 to 200 reps in rotation, right? So you could do singles, doubles, triples, max at a 5 or hundreds at a time, depending on what body part you're pumping blood to, you know what I'm saying, or what joints you want to take care of. So I think a true bodybuilder will run that gamut and will not avoid singles. Like, do this safely, do this on a plan, like work yourself up to it, because I don't think you should just start tomorrow because you heard me say it today. But the density that it's going to create, and also you knowing what your true strength is, so that you can do a little bit more intelligent programming on what's a true 75%, what's the heaviest I can go, and then building out some submaximal work after that is intelligent programming. So I very highly recommend it. It will test your mind in other ways, but when you're a bodybuilder, you're used to going through this pain, right?
Yeah.
So if we can manage these heavy weights, and also it's not what is it? It's not light weight for many reps.
Right.
It's heavy weight for many reps. Like, there is brutality in that kind of a setup, right? So you need to be able to tap into your literal strength to be able to make these gains, because this is not for the weak of heart. You are going to have some suffering in your program if you want to make change. And especially, like, I mean, I've been lifting for 18 years,
Hmm.
so there's no easy way out for me.
Fair enough. So, would you ever compete in powerlifting again, or is it now that you're almost at the pinnacle of women's bodybuilding, you're so damn close. Is the risk, because there is a risk when you're doing these very very heavy maximal loads, one rep maximum stuff. Have you left powerlifting competition behind for a while now, at least, or where do you stand on that?
Well, with the way that I train, I could be ready for a meet probably within a short amount of time, just the way that I train all the time.
Hmm.
So I have my volume during the week. I've got my max effort lifts on the weekend. And of course, I've got my team that's keeping an eye on my technique. And, these guys know if I'm having an off day, and they know they can see if something is wrong. Like, and they genuinely care about me. Like, they're not going to say, yeah, go ahead, just take that lift, even though they are seeing that I'm extremely fatigued, or maybe like my bench, like my bar path isn't moving right. They're going to tell me to stop. And who really has a teammate that's bold enough to be like, stop, this isn't your day, like we'll come at this again next week. Like, you really need those kind of people around you that are going to be seeing, because sometimes you do get in your head and you're like, I need to lift this today, I want to lift this today, like I can't not lift this today, and it's not your day. So being able to set it down. But oh, I'm definitely going to compete again. There is no question about that. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I think a lot of people will favor powerlifting for is that it's totally objective. You get the lift. I know you can. There have been sometimes when people argue with the judges, but for the lift or no lift, but you get the lift or you don't get the lift. It's not like an opinion. Well, I don't know if
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could see why the appeal there. So here's something else interesting. You did not turn professional as a bodybuilder. It was physique at the 2020 NPC Nationals. That's actually where Andrea got her card, was as a physique in the physique division as well.
Yeah.
But the parallel sort of ends there, because she tried physique, and a couple of people immediately came up as a pro, and people said, no, you need to move to bodybuilding. Did you know you never competed in physique division as a pro, did you?
Oh gosh. I have 3 pro cards in physique.
Wow.
So DFAC, PNBA,
Jeez.
IFBB. So I've done everything I could possibly do in women's physique. So like I said, I won those 2 world championships back to back, and then I won nationals in 2020. So I'm like, I've done everything I can do, and it was at my nationals qualification that I showed up. I'd had like the best off season, best grow season of my life so far. So, COVID was actually really good for me.
Hmm.
I went down into my little bodybuilding cave hole, had some great training sessions in garages, and just, dirty, sweaty, nasty kind of lifts, because like we were not going to stop.
Yeah.
And my prep was on point. Unfortunately, my husband was gone a lot because his job, I mean, was running him 16 hours a day. So I like fully immersed myself in my prep. So I show up, well, I was supposed to do the Chicago Pro and the Olympia as an amateur
Oh.
in 2020.
Hmm.
So another one of those weird things that happens is I was supposed to do that. They got moved to a place I couldn't reach. The dates were changed. My sister was still supposed to be getting married, so I couldn't do the Chicago Pro and the Olympia as an amateur.
Hmm.
So I'm like, well, I'm in shape. I'm just gonna literally do, as silly as it sounds, I'm doing a spirit competition. I am going wherever my soul tells me to go. And I love New Orleans, right? I
Yeah.
love Louisiana. So I was like, there's a show, perfect timing. I didn't even know it was a nationals qualification.
Hmm. Wow.
So
You
went
won.
there, and that's when people were like, this is bodybuilding. You're bodybuilding, right? You're bodybuilding, right? And I was like, no, physique. And I look back on the pictures and I can see it now. But then I was like, there's no way I'm like, I'm not big enough yet. Like, there's no way. But people were absolutely right. And it was kind of neat that even though I was supposed to do the Chicago Pro and the Olympia as an amateur, I turned around after winning nationals to do the Chicago Pro and the Olympia as a professional athlete. So I can't make this up.
Yeah. And
It was, yeah.
Chicago Pro, that was your debut as a pro, right?
Yes, yeah, won my pro debut.
Wow. I mean, that's got to feel good.
Yeah. Oh,
and
wow.
and again,
Yeah.
second place at your first Olympia. I mean, no one's ever won on their first try anyway. That would be truly historic. But to come in second at your first Olympia, that's got to. I mean, to put your name on that year, you went from somebody, very few people outside of your inner circle probably knew who you were, to now you're like a household name in the sport. This is a woman that's already pushing the reigning champ. Just to be on the map in such a big way so quick. It was exciting. Was it overwhelming in a way too?
It was, I'll tell you what, 2021 was a very rough year. So I was, I've kind of mentioned this a few times in different, I'm getting more comfortable talking about it, but I was very sick in 2021, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to compete again. I didn't know how the rest of my life was going to go, let alone having a competition. Um, I had, really been suffering and experiencing some things that, like I still deal with, but much better. But it really forced me to question if I could compete again, if I could cut again, if I could do any of this. And
Hmm.
if it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody, right? Um, so I had already been suffering, and I was like, well, if as long as I don't feel that, as long as I'm not feeling, these episodes, and as long as I'm not feeling this, I can do absolutely anything that is required of me in my prep, because I didn't care. I was basically like, if I am like I am choosing to do this with my whole heart, and I'm risking everything. I could be risking everything.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is the path that I have chosen. This is my life. I've never pulled out of a show, but if I have to, we'll see when we get there. And I just put everything into it.
Hmm.
You know, like I had no guarantees of how that show was going to go,
Wow.
but really felt untouchable because I had already suffered so much and I wasn't ready to compete. I wasn't ready. And then it was like Chicago was one of the last shows that we were going to be able to do. And I was like, let's do it.
Hmm.
Let's do it. I had no idea how big Chicago Pro was, which
Yeah.
I've done several times in my career. I just get myself into things that like I had no idea. You know, sometimes I just have no idea what. So these things just happen for a reason. So when I got there and had that placing, I just you almost can't. I couldn't believe it, but it was also such a personal journey
Hmm.
and such an accomplishment that I had survived. I was damn near untouchable because I was like, nothing can hurt me.
Hmm.
None of this is going to hurt me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do try to kind of reflect on that from time to time because you will suffer in this sport. It's a dangerous sport. Like, make no mistake. You know, you've got to have a good team around you. You've got to have a great coach. You have to have good friends. You know, your family has to, you know, be behind you, and you have to be all in and 100% sure that this is what you want to do. You know,
So
and it's a call. I got called. It was my
yeah.
time.
So you did this for so long without a coach, and I'm assuming you have a coach now. I want to know who it is and how things are different with somebody else calling the shots and keeping an eye on you versus doing it on your own.
Oh, yeah, my first year, 2013, I did my first three shows by myself. Right? No help, no nothing. And I got with somebody for about 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, so that's what bad coaching is like. That's ridiculous. And then I got with Terry McBee of Team Hardbody, and she and I worked together for 7 years.
Hmm.
Now, when I say I didn't have a coach, like she coached, she helped me with my nutrition and my cut and my cardio, but I did all of my own programming. I didn't let anybody touch my actual lifts, right? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I never had a chance to meet her. So all you know, we she got me all the way to nationals, my pro card from the IFBB, and it was like, okay, we've taken this as far as we can, you know, and I needed to work with someone who knew IFBB women's bodybuilding because I had, like I said, I had taken physique as far as I could. There was nothing more left for me to do.
Hmm.
Um, in my heart, that's how I felt. And I was there were only like two people that was going to consider, and that was John Meadows and
Uh,
Brandon Ray.
hmm.
Brandon Ray had reached out to me during nationals to help me with like posing, and I didn't know who he was.
Hmm.
I I don't know if he's gonna hear this, but I didn't know who he was when I hired him.
Hmm.
I purely went on gut instinct because because of how he had reached out to me and the gut feeling that I got. And when John Meadows passed away, there was no it was just it was written for me. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like it was a fully sometimes you just know.
Yeah.
And you know, as I'm getting in with Brandon and I'm learning like who he is and who he's trained, and I'm like, holy crap! Like this guy's worked with everybody, and he's been around for how many years? And I was just like, I'm right where I belong, man. Like you know, like you sometimes you just have to trust your instincts, and I did, and I was so right. I was so right about it. And I do let him do my programming
Oh, okay.
because, you know, like, I mean, I felt like I took myself as far as I could and I need more ideas. And I mean, I love to study this stuff, right? So having, you know, like a bodybuilder's bodybuilder start working with me on stuff was like, of course, let's do this, you know. So not new for him, but it was new for me. I mean, I'd had some powerlifting programming that I bought, and I worked with Shane Sweat for nationals because I liked his powerlifting enough to use as bodybuilding programming. Because, like I said, I'm still gonna do my conjugate. I was still going to be lifting heavy. And the way he designed stuff and the way Brandon designed stuff, it was like they were almost like brothers on paper. And I was like, you guys would really get along. You both are crazy. So, but yeah, no, it has been wonderful having just one person taking care of everything. And I had never met my bodybuilding coach Terry, and Brandon and I worked together all of this time. I hired him right at the end of 2021.
Okay.
Right, because like I was like I'm a mess. I'm making zero progress. I'm sick as hell. I don't have any answers. And it was literally like a Hail Mary, because I'm like I'm putting my body into somebody else's hands, and I am just having faith that bodybuilding has saved my life more than once, and it's either going to happen again, or we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to go to the dark place, but that is exactly where I was, and I had to live with those thoughts. For a year, basically, year and a half. Um, but he's done great, and we actually got together to train before Rising Phoenix. I flew out to Jersey, my first solo flight, and he took care of me for about 4 days. And I had never been trained. Like, I had never had anybody train me.
Huh.
Like, maybe like two times in last year, or excuse me, the year before, I had somebody help me with my last workouts before the Olympia, but I had never had anybody train me.
Hmm.
And I was a personal trainer for years,
Yeah.
but no one had ever trained me, and it was just so nice.
I think
It really was.
I think most people who have, even at such a high level like you're at as a competitor, someone who's been training for years, nobody can really push themselves as hard as when you're working with someone like. There's a few examples, like a Charles Glass would be a good example. Someone who you have no idea what's coming next, and they take you past your limits, past where you think you can push. What another thing I want to ask about is your posing, because you're such a dynamic poser. I want to know, do you do this on your own, or do you have a choreographer? Do you have a posing coach?
I am very, very proud of my performances and my choreography. I do it all myself. I refuse to outsource any of my performance pieces, even though it drives me absolutely insane, because like, this is my art. This is the few moments that I have on stage by myself to do whatever I want.
Hmm.
And it really can drive you just absolutely insane, because the standard that I have for myself, I have not even reached it yet. And I love the performances that I've put together, but it is such like, when you are an artist, you just you want it to be perfectly executed, and you want it to be just an expression that makes people just stop, and like the judges aren't even judging anymore. They're just, like they're just having a moment, because they're like, this is why we do this every weekend. This is the hours that we put in, so we can see someone do something that good. Like, I truly try. But yeah, it all comes from me. It all comes from somewhere dark.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
sure.
I I tell you, it's refreshing to see, because Giles and I complain about all the time, that we see a lot of guys, especially men's open, where it looks like they're making it up as they go along, and they clearly put no effort, no time, no practice into a routine, but just because it's not judged. Your routine is not judged either, but clearly you take a lot of pride in putting together something that's going to be captivating, entertaining, mesmerizing. So people are going to wake up and actually pay attention while you're posing. Where, as much as I love
Yeah.
men's open bodybuilding, sometimes I'm watching the routines, I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. This is boring. Yeah, I mean, I
Oh
wish
yeah, I feel that
I
pressure.
wish everybody would do what you do and really take pride in their routines like this.
Thank you. You win best performance at Rising Phoenix almost
Hmm.
meant more than winning the show, because I mean, literally when I'm in therapy, I am talking about my performance piece. because it just is so important to me. And if I miss one piece, I just can't forgive myself. It's just, so to actually execute to the level that I want it to be, I mean, I put so much pressure on myself because this this is the beauty of the sport. Everyone loves to watch the muscle move. I
Mm,
don't care who you are. This is living art. We are doing hardcore body modification with our sport. And this is like the one way that you can like really show people like why the human body is so beautiful and connect with them. It's a whole other level.
yeah,
I'm
I
very,
mean,
very proud that people are recognizing me for it. It's
man,
unbelievable.
I'm sure you know who Logan Franklin is, classic physique guy. He actually switched from, he was a men's physique pro and he was doing pretty well. He won a couple shows, did well at the Olympia and the Arnold a couple times, but he said he got sick of not being able to really showcase the physique and pose and see it move. There's divisions. I'm more of a fan of divisions that have posing in them, much more of a fan than I am where they just do quarter turns and there's no posing, because how can you really analyze and scrutinize and or even appreciate a physique unless you see the muscles move and hit the various poses and stuff like that. So I'm with you on
And
that. I'm all about,
personality.
yeah,
Like you can definitely execute a quarter turn phenomenally. And you can show off your genetics, your beauty, whether you're male or female, like your level of beauty is going to be part of your judgment. But like what is your personality? What can you do? Like what I think that's got to be why it means so much to me, is because they can tell that it came from inside me, you know?
yeah,
And that medal like was just for me to be like, you're doing this the right way. People get you. It's
well, I mean,
so
it's
phenomenal.
I I was never a great bodybuilder, but I was a great poser, and I always felt that was my only chance to show my personality in 90 seconds or 2 minutes. Everything else is just, quarter turns, poses with a group of guys. This is your only chance to really shine and show who you are and what you're all about. This is my music. I love this song. These are my poses. I don't know why people would not want to take full advantage of that. So I guess me and you think alike, and it's hard for me to understand otherwise. Let's move on because we have the big show coming up. I think are we 7 weeks out from the Olympia right now?
Oh, we're like under 6 now. I think it's 6
Yeah.
today.
Time is flying. My goodness. So here's my question. This is Rising Phoenix. This condition was, I don't know if this was your best. I can't imagine you've ever been in better condition than this, because this looks pretty flawless right here.
Woo!
Was this about as lean as, have you ever been leaner than this?
Oh gosh, when I did my first AFBB Olympia, they said don't be any more lean. And I was definitely cool with that, because I think I just needed a few more years of adding the size to
Hmm.
that leanness, because I didn't think I was correctly proportioned in 2022. I mean, of course, we're our own harshest critic about how, we perform and how we look, but I was like, that's not it yet. That's not it. And I can't remember who I said this to, but my husband reminded me. I think maybe it was Bob Sheik. Maybe I told him that. He was like, "Well, what do you think you're gonna do? You're gonna come back and kick her ass next year?" And I looked at him and I was like, "It's gonna take me 3 years to beat her."
Wow.
And
Hmm.
here we are.
Yeah. Wow.
3 years. I don't know where that came from either. It was just like I was just like, it's gonna take me some time.
Yeah.
And holy shit, exactly 3 years.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a very exciting. Like I said, I've been saying this for since Saturday, since you won, that you just made this Ms. Olympia contest a lot more exciting, because now, you know, the Olympia is always the Mr. and Ms. Olympia. Either one is always more exciting when there's someone really pushing the champ. I never liked it when the champ was just winning year after year after year. It gets boring. Like you think back to the Mr. Olympia, the Jay Ronnie years were iconic. And more recently, we had the Phil Heath Kai Green era where they were going back and forth. Now we have, in women's bodybuilding, we have Andrea and Angela really going back and forth. So you know, what's it going to take? What's it going to take for you to beat this woman in 6 weeks?
Well, let's not forget about Ashley. Ashley really brought it.
Ah, there she is.
Really brought it to Rising Phoenix, and she is just a spectacular specimen of women's bodybuilding, and so humble, so kind, and I'm so proud to have her up with us. So I mean, she's definitely also a threat to Andrea.
Yeah.
I mean, what's nice about where I'm at is that the hard part of the cut is done. You know, what we can do, we can add, you know, people are like, well, how are you going to do it? How are you going to make any changes? I'm like, oh, there's time. You know, we can definitely add some density. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is figuring out just a little bit more full, a little bit more of a at least the look of size.
Yeah.
And the conditioning was rewarded. And where I was, what I was going to say, Andrea and Ashley are very similar. They're both incredibly gorgeous and had a similar level of leanness. Now, that could have not worked out for me, you know, depending on what the judges were thinking. So with Rising Phoenix, we had an all-female judging panel. We will have male-female judging panel at the Olympia. So I'm curious. I wish I could ask everybody who's judging, like, what it is they would like to see, you know. And in one of her interviews, Andrea said that it's a fine line between being too cut, you know, because we're not necessarily supposed to be shredded to the bone. Um, you know, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, that's a
So
good point, because historically we've had the only division where women have been told, no, don't come in so cut, is pretty much women's bodybuilding. I think physique has gotten a memo on that too, but you know, but then I've seen situations where women said, okay, I'll come in a little softer, and it backfires because they still end up to someone who's shredded out of their skull. So
exactly.
what do you
Hey,
do? How do you
we
how does
we
that
know. I mean, but it's still got to be balanced. It's still got to be the proper balance of lean, full, hard, um, symmetrical. You know, like, you're always going to want to see that feminine beauty in women's bodybuilding. You know, that's something that we've been taught, that it's a major criteria. So we're just we're still learning, you know, like, this is our going into our 5th year of women's bodybuilding being back, and it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but we're still learning, you know, and watching the judges. That's why all of this is so important to us. Like, it, and you don't know, like, on the day, what they're going to say is the best.
Right.
I mean, I've now that I've won the world championships, I'm the best in the world. Miss Olympia is a totally different competition. Everyone knows the Olympia. So that's kind of like where you know, people are like, well, that's the best in the world, but technically it's me. Um, so, but, you know, like, so when you have a different judging panel coming together and they line us all up, and, you know, I just hope everybody makes it there happy, healthy, in shape, and that we can do this all over again, because backstage was a blast. And, you know, I'm not wishing ill on anybody. I want us all to make it and really be showing what this division is capable of, and our competitive nature is going to make it a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know, what you mentioned there, I don't think a lot of people realize, for 5 years, the Ms. Olympia was gone. From 2014 to
6.
2019, there was no Ms. Olympia held. A lot of people thought it was never coming back, and then Jake Wood buys the Olympia, and of course, he had Wings of Strength, so he was always a huge supporter of women's bodybuilding from day one. He brought it back. He added this Rising Phoenix show, another big money show for the women, because Arnold, they took it out of their show years ago. But yeah, I mean, I'm so happy to see it's had a resurrection, a rebirth, a revival, and it's, you know, we have a whole new crop of champions like yourself that are actively. We have social media now, which we didn't have back then. So there's all the opportunities for the athletes, for the promoters, for everybody to really get more interest, more excitement, more participation, because women have a lot more choices now for divisions. When I was a young guy starting out in bodybuilding, if you were competing, you were a women's bodybuilder or a men's bodybuilder. That was it. There was nothing else. Women have 5, 6 divisions now to choose from. So I want you to speak to the women out there who might be thinking, I don't know if I want to be a bodybuilder or a figure or physique. how do you sell them on women's bodybuilding? Because that's the division that you've thrived and done the best in.
I mean, you should always compete where your physique will do the best. If I would not say, stay in physique if that's not something that you want to do. Like for me, I can only speak from my personal experience. My goal was always to grow. Always to add the size, and I would just say follow your heart, follow your instincts, like train how you want to train, and then see where the chips fall. Like we're a very welcoming division. Like I can't even say enough good things about women's bodybuilding because we all know each other. We all know what's going on in each other's lives. Like we actually give a crap about how each other is doing, and that helps make us strong. But you know where you compete is always going to be a direct, product of how you train and what your goals are. So, I mean, give yourself time, get the feedback from the judges, do what you want to do, because at the end of the day, that's what we're going to be doing day in and day out. And if you're training like a bodybuilder, like, come and give it a shot, because we are the rarest athletes on earth.
Yeah.
Like there's something very special about women, female bodybuilders. Like it is not a dime a dozen, and to be up at this level, is very, very rare. So if you resonate with that, if you resonate with size, like, it's a great place to be.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that discourages, because you can't look like this overnight, no matter how genetically gifted. Nothing's going to get you a physique like that in a year or two, where you can go from a regular girl in the gym to a bikini stage in a year. I've seen it done all the time. You're not going from a regular girl in the gym kind of lifting weights to the Ms. Olympia stage in a year or two. It's not going to happen. It's going to take you years. But in the end, you're an elite. You're this very elite group of people that you can look back and say, how many people achieved what I was able to achieve? It's a fraction of the total amount of competitors. Man, you've been so generous with your time, and I know you're prepping and you're 6 weeks out and everything. I can't thank you enough for taking all this time, Angela. We want to get everyone at the show. I don't know if the tickets are sold out yet, but I think they can still get tickets. MrOlympia.com has the links for all the tickets, hotels, all that good stuff. If you're able to get to Las Vegas, there's just nothing like being there live and in person. Of course, if you can't make it, get the pay-per-view. You're going to see a great battle between these people who are great friends, wonderful friends and comrades off stage. On stage, it's last person standing. It's going to come down, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it be you this time. I love Andrea. I love her physique. She's a wonderful person, but I'd be so happy for you too. I'd be so happy for you if you can get it this time, because I always root for the underdog. I think everybody loves to root for the underdog. So best luck, best of luck, best wishes. 6 weeks. We're going to see it all go down in Las Vegas. Well,
maybe we'll do another interview. We'll see how this goes.
Winning interview. So please follow Angela on her Instagram, IFBB pro_pro_.yeo. And of course, awesome website. Check out. There's coaching available, yes, at proyeo.com. And what's the last thing I want to get people to do is, of course, subscribe, like, share the channel, do all that good stuff for the channel. Trying to do good things here and give you guys great content. So thank you so much, Angela. Appreciate it. Congratulations on being the world champion at the Rising Phoenix. Very well-earned victory, and I wish you so much good luck in Las Vegas 6 weeks from today at the Ms. Olympia, where you've been bridesmaid 2 years in a row. This time, let's see if yours is the last hand raised on stage. Yeah, number one. All right. So that's it. Thank you, Angela, and thanks everybody for watching our online report with this amazing athlete, Angela Yeo. We'll see you next time.